Good afternoon, students. For today's second session of SAP, we have Nagaraj sir with us for the today's session. Nagaraj sir, you can proceed with your class, sir.
Sure, Kunal. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Yeah. So, welcome back. So before we broke for lunch or we took a break for lunch, we had just trying to close up on the AP processes. Okay. And yeah, now we are getting into the accounts receivable side of SAP FI model. Clear? Now, what is that we are going to see in the SAP finance model? It is the same thing. So we see the creation of a customer master record, three different levels. I will try to find a customer where he has all the three different levels. But as I said, for our learning or for our understanding of the AR module, it is more than enough for us to know the or have the customer at two different levels. One is at the general data level, the other one at the company code level. I think now we should be a little comfortable in understanding these levels of data. So what is the role of a finance consultant in creation of the vendor and the customer master records? So we already had a look at the what we do in the company. Normally, your finance consultant is responsible for creating the data or completing the data at the company code level. Yeah. So what did we see in the vendor master at the company code level? So we saw the reconciliation account. We saw the payment terms. We saw the house bank, the payment methods. So some of these things we saw there. Clear? Now, the same things we are going to see in the customer master also. So make the master data at three different levels. So as you know, I may not be in a position to create the customer master level or a customer master data at the sales organization level because I wouldn't know their data. Okay. Learn to make simple customer postings. Run a dunning program. Just like you had your APP in your AP, in your accounts payable module, you had a process automatic payment program. Similarly, as far as the AR module is concerned, we have something called as the dunning program. What do we achieve through dunning? What is the meaning of dunning? Dunning is an electronic process or an automated process of reminding the customers for their overdues. Simply defined, your dunning is an automated process of reminding the customers for them to make the payments and clear the outstanding. Okay, so we are going to get into that. So all of the things probably you may be very comfortable. So you have the general data level of a customer, the company code level of a customer, and sales and sales organization level of a customer. These are the three different levels. Okay. So the customer master record. So even before we even talk about the creation of a customer master record, so what happened in our AP module? We had something called as an account group. So where we created or rather there was already an account group with which I had created GMIM. I had already created a So here we have, let me assume that I have created something called as GMEX, export customers. So for our learning and for our learning purposes, there is a customer account group with the identification GMEX. Now you have KUNA as the standard customer account group, which is created by SAP itself. Clear? Now, just like we saw 1,60,000 to be the sundry creditors account, the reconciliation account, which connects the FI and the AP module, you have 1,40,000 being defined as a customer reconciliation account, which connects which is responsible for your sundry debtors figure and for connecting the FI module to the AR subnet. Clear? And just like we had your automatic payment program in AP, we have dunning in AR. You have a dunning procedure in AR. Okay, we'll slowly have a look at this. So you can see the transaction codes which we are going to see. Here it is FK, here it is FD, ADKMS. D stands for customer, K stands for vendors. Let us straight away log into the SAP system. All right, we are already there. Now first let us ensure that we have the relevant customer account group in our system. Yeah. So how do we ensure that? We move from the end user screen to the consulting screen because he is the person who's going to create SPRO. Reference IMG. AR and AP. Now we go to the customer accounts. Master data. Preparations for creating customer master data. Define account groups. So I do not have to go to new entries and create anything new because we already have GMEX. Now let me show you the standard. Let me also search for what is KUNA. It is a standard customer account group provided by SAP. Now if you double click, can you see it is an external number assignment? So here, whenever you saw 6385 Measures Blue Limited was created and 6385 was generated by the system itself. Now, of course, I'm not going to use KUNA, but I'm going to look for GMEX. Let me see if it is there. Yes, export customers for GM01. More than enough. Now, if you double click, you can see the general data, the company code data, and the sales data. And I didn't show it to you. I didn't show you this. I didn't explain, rather, I showed you. I didn't explain this particular concept. I didn't explain this concept of one-time account. What is this one-time account? You also have one-time account for vendors. I will show you that screen also. Clear? So this one-time account is where you do not have frequent interactions with your customer or your vendor. When you check this box, it means to say that you hardly have interactions with your customer or your vendor. Maybe twice or thrice in the whole financial year. Let me read out the explanation for you in the SAP language. Account group are one-time accounts. What is one-time accounts? An account on which the transaction figures are recorded for a group of customers or vendors that conduct business once or rarely. Clear? One-time accounts, it is enough for you to know this. I will just go away from here. So why did I bring you to the screen? So just to show you that we already have a customer account group GMEX. Now, similar to your number ranges, you have assign number ranges, create number ranges. First, I will see if GMEX is already assigned to a number range. It is already assigned to a number range 03. Now let us see what is the 03. If it is external or internal, let us check that. Create number ranges. View 03. 03 is an internal number range starting from falling in this range. Now the current customer created is with this number and it is an internal number range. Just like 6385 got generated for the vendor, you will have a number generating whenever I create a customer master record and it is given by the next successive number. Okay. So my setting up for the customer master record is complete. Now, the end user just needs to know that he has to use the customer account group GMEX for creating the customer master record. Where does he create? Accounting, financial accounting, accounts receivable, master records, create. I have already noted this particular transaction codes in the Excel sheet, right? Since we are creating the master records only from the finance module perspective, we are okay with creating the customer or the vendor with this particular transaction. FK01 for your vendor, FD01, 02, 03 for your customers. I want to create. I'll first select the customer account group. Export customers GM01. I'll simply give the company code. So it will take me into a screen. Now the difference between your vendor master data, though the fields are the same. Here also I am going to give the general information as regards a customer. But there you did not see which view of the data you were looking at. Now can you see now you are in the general data level. So that is why. Now just see the difference. Just make a mental note that you have your company code data. Okay, now I'll finish with the general data. What name should I give? Some name. some name. Okay. Come down. I'll finish the address. I'll give some address. And the region is 10 Karnataka. And you have all other fields also which you can fill in. If at all your customer or your client desires, you can fill in all the. Now in your general data tab, you can see 3 tabs. Control data. And how did I actually come to this portion? I used to keep pressing enter in my vendor master data. There you could not see this. Now, if I click on the company code data, see, did you see that? The general data view is closed. If I have to go to the general data, I need to click on this. So this is how your vendor master data and your customer master data. It contains the same field, no difference. But the only thing is the presentation. So what do I give here? 1,40,000. So this is more than enough. You can see all the information. You see so many tabs. Save this. You have Mrs. Costner Limited getting a code 1631 500 I'll just copy this. Now I can go and view. Okay, press enter. It will give me the if I want to view the general data, I click here and see the general data. Okay. Now, if I want to enter, I want to enter the invoices. I want to start interacting with this customer. How do I do it? Same way. Data entry. What was the earlier transaction code for vendor? It was FB60. Now it is FB70. That is all. As you enter the vendor invoices, you can enter the customer invoices also. Now for the sales, here the customer is debited. You can see the credit. So what is the general ledger account that I'll be using? I'll be using the sales account. Let me just check. Sales revenue. Okay. Sales revenue foreign. Okay, I can use this general ledger. Not a. And what is the amount? Let me keep it as 1,55,000. And I enter the amount. I just enter a star. So it picks up the amount. Here also, it is due immediately, and you know the reason why it is due immediately. The same explanation as I had given it for vendor holds good here also, because this has got automatically the system picks up the invoices to be due immediately. So you can see the. Now if I want to simulate, I can simulate. So what is a document type? Can you see DR? As this is a sales invoice, you can see the DR document type being picked up. You can see the posting keys. The customer debit is 01 and the sales credit is a 50. So it was automatically picked up. I didn't interfere in the posting keys. I post stuff. So you see that can you see the difference? The KR, the vendor invoice was getting generated with another number range. Now here your sales invoice is getting recorded with the 18 series. 18 series number range. Because you know from where it is flowing from. Your document type DR is assigned to a number range which starting from this number or rather the range. Now I'll go out. I want to see the balances of a vendor. Same thing. Here you have, there you have FBL 1 and here you have FBL 5. There you had FK10 and here you have FD10. There it asked you for the customer. Here it will ask you for the, there it asked you for the vendor. Here it is going to ask you for the customer. That is the only difference. Everything else is the same. All items. Execute. So it is, you see it is in the open state because I have still not received the money. Okay. It is already due. Okay. Go to just have a look at the other options also. I am more comfortable with FD led. Go to account balance. See, I've entered the sale transaction in the second month. I don't have to repeat why it is in the second month. Double click. You end up going to the same place. You double click. Can you see this 1,40,000? So earlier in the vendor invoices, you would see 1,60,000. Here you will see 1,40,000. And you know why? Okay. Go back. I will not get into this because I have shown you enough number of times as to how, where. Okay. Now I want to receive money from this particular customer. How do I receive money? Can you see incoming payments F-28? Can you see the document type automatically being taken? DZ. What was the vendor payment document type? KZ. Okay. What is the bank data? I'll receive the whole amount. And you know, if at all I receive the partial amount, how we would do the transaction. Customer, other account type is D. So I am receiving money from this customer. So I go to process open items. In this case, I'll be having only one invoice. So the amounts are matching. So I don't have to do anything, but simply go and post. Can you see the DZ document number? Starts with a 14. There, I think it was 15 and 19. Here it is 14. The receipt is 14. If you want to see the entry, go to FD03. I will start using the transaction code so that bank account credit your customer account. Okay. Did you see the posting keys? It was 40 and 18. I never interfered in the posting keys. See? All right. So one more way of entering the invoice. So now you see the balances. Where do you see the balance? Count FD11, or I'll go to FD10 and now execute. You will come back to the same place. Absolutely no difference. So I've already explained as to what each and everything is. I simply double click and it is in the cleared state. DR, DC. Yeah. Understood? Now, what is very different that I need to show you here? Hmm. Okay. I will try to create maybe say 4 other invoices. I will go to a different option for entering the customer invoice, very similar to your F-02, your F-43. What is F-43? Vendor invoice. Similar to your FB60. Now this your F-22 is similar to your F-43. Only difference is there it asks you for the vendor. Here it is going to ask you for the customer. How do I know it's a customer? I will tell you. It is a DR. It has automatically picked up the document type. It is 01. 01 is a posting key for customer debit. So I enter what should I enter? I need to enter the customer code. Enter. It will take me into the 185. Where is being the sales? Okay. Now what is it? That was debit customer. Here I'll credit sales. 800050. Correct. I think I left out one more zero. Wait, what happened? Sales revenue for enter a star, enter a plus. You are through with the entry. I'll enter one more invoice. So you saw this being successfully posted. So here I have a 2,10,000 being the sales. I enter the credit posting key, enter the sale account, enter a star and a plus. I post. Enter one more invoice. Account. To 235. I'll enter one more invoice. So I have created some open items in the customer. You can see the balances. As I said, it is up to you to use any of the transaction codes. I use a lot of FD11. It is up to you, not a problem. So I have an outstanding balance of 9,45,000 rupees to be received from the customer, and the 9,45,000 comprises of these 4 invoices. Now, why did I create these so many open items? To show you the process of dunning. So what did I say dunning was? It is an automated process of reminding customers of their overdues. Overdue. So it is an automated process. Now I have a balance of 9,45,000. There was some amount 9 lakh change. So I will have to remind. Let me assume that it is overdue. I have entered the invoice as of today. Okay, not a problem. Do I need, as a consultant, do I need to make any settings for dunning? Yes. As a consultant, I would create a dunning procedure, something called as a dunning procedure. Where do I see it? I have moved from the end user screen to the consultant screen, IMG. Clear? Now, business transactions. You have dunning. You have something called as a dunning procedure. You have defined dunning procedures. You can read out the process. I think I've already created something called as GM01. Let me just see. Do I already have something called as GM0? Oh, I created something else. I remember having created something as somebody. No problem, no problem. Absolutely no problem. For GM01, let me just check. I remember I had created one. I don't know if somebody has deleted it accidentally. But no, no problem. I don't see anything. All right. Let me pick up this 0001. So it contains so much of information. What is the information? 0001 is a dunning procedure. 4-level dunning notice every 2 weeks. Dunning interval in days. I'm not creating anything new. Dunning interval in days. So the customer wouldn't like more so if he is a very important customer for you, a high profile customer where he is giving you a lot of business. Okay, you wouldn't want to, you would exclude him even from the dunning process. Clear? You would not even include him in the dunning process. Now, suppose you will have to send reminders to customers. This is the process, right? The dunning process is nothing but that. Now, if at all you want to send it out, what is the gap between the subsequent dunning reminders? If I send out the dunning reminder today, what should be the, when should I send the next dunning information? When should I send the next statement to him? Next reminder. When should I send? So here the dunning interval in days defines the interval between two reminders. So after 14 days, you are supposed to send out a dunning reminder. Okay. How many times are you going to remind a customer? That is mentioned in your number of dunning levels. So you cannot keep going on sending reminders, right? So you will stop at some stage. So normally in your live projects, actually the third level of dunning itself is very serious, because especially in the European belt, when you send out a third dunning notice, the matter has to be settled in the court. It has a legal impact. Let me not discuss about it. So you have, but SAP allows you a maximum of 9 dunning levels. In the sense, you can send reminders to your customer maximum of 9 times. But in the normal practice, we follow only 3, maximum 4. I don't even remember the projects which used 4 dunning levels. Okay. Now, all these items, all these other things, you do not have to remind. See, why I'm telling you not to, because it is a consultant's work. But I'll explain. These columns, what you're seeing here, the total due items, the minimum days in arrears, just talk to you about how many invoices should the customer accumulate so that the system sends him a reminder. Suppose I tweak the system saying that I wouldn't done the customer if he has not accumulated a minimum of 5 invoices. And even in those 5 invoices, even if they are overdue, do I give them a grace period? Minimum days in arrears. Line item grace periods. Interest indicator. What is this interest indicator? Now in the payment terms, we saw the discount terms. In the sense, within 14 days, within 10 days, we saw something. But the whole invoice was due by 30 days. What if the customer doesn't make a payment even after 30 days? That is taken care of by a concept called as your interest indicator, where you penalize the customer. So let me not repeat, let me not get into all that. Now the dunning levels. Here you see, even for each invoice, he has given a grace period of 2 days. So effectively, if the invoice is falling due today, the reminder won't be sent till the expiry of the day after tomorrow. And also, can you see a public holiday calendar ID? Here, why is it provided? It is provided to exclude the holidays from counting the expiry date. It discounts the holidays. Normally, 99 is a standard holiday calendar which is selected. Of course, here I don't select any calendar, but normally here it is designed. Of course, we don't design. The holiday calendar is not designed by us. Okay, it takes into consideration all the public holidays and whatever. Okay, so that it excludes these days, these holidays from calculating the final date, the date of the payment. Go to SPRO. Business transactions. Do not have to remember this path. So we were looking at 0001, which is standard. So I was talking to you about the public holiday calendar and its use. Okay, now we were seeing the list. Normally in the standard, you would be given 99, see international. In most of the projects, I think the HR consultant creates this public calendar. So this is the dunning procedure. Now you have some dunning levels. So you have, so your dunning starts from 2 days. 2 days after the expiry of the deadline, the due. So it starts from 14 days was the interval between the two dunning levels. 2 plus 14 is 16, 16 plus 14 is 30, 30 plus 14 is 44. So this is how you see these numbers, 2, 16, 30 and 44. Do you want to calculate interest? Of course, we are not going to touch upon this calculating interest. Are we going to penalize the customer? Not for the first 2 reminders, but for the next 2 or the 3rd and the 4th level of reminders, we want to penalize. I'm just explaining the thing what is already there in the SAP system. The consultant creates the dunning procedure based on the requirement of the client. The client may ask me to calculate interest only from the 4th dunning. to penalize my customers only at the fourth interval. Do you want to always done? Yes. Print all items? Yes. What does it mean? Now, if the receivables, they don't change, let me assume this particular customer, Costner Limited, he has accumulated 9 lakhs. Now, I would set up a condition saying that probably from one dunning level to another dunning level, the amount of the receivables, they don't change. It still remains the same amount. So today I send him a reminder. After the expiry of 14 days, again I send him a reminder, but we have no transactions in between. So even in that case, do you want to always send in the information? It is up to you. Do you want to print all the items even though there is no change? It is up to you. Printing means all the invoices which are overdue. Do you want to set up a deadline? So here you are sending out a reminder, but after sending out the reminder also, do you want to set up a deadline to the customer? That is, within these many days, I need to receive the payment. So all these settings are done here. There is something called as a charges. What is the charges that I can actually bear? Suppose I want to send him I print the dunning notice and I want to send it. So don't I incur the postage and all other things? So do I want to include that in my dunning notice also so that he pays me back the stationery, the printing charges, the posting charges? So do you want me to penalize the customer with all these things? Yes. So I have decided that I would include all these charges. Okay, at each of the dunning level. Minimum amounts. Do I set up? So I said, if the customer, let me assume, in my case, Mrs. Costner Limited, he is a very, very important customer for me. So I would allow the customer to accumulate up to even 10 lakhs. Even if he is due to me by 10 lakhs, I wouldn't send out a reminder or I would not charge him anything. Okay, the minimum amount. So here in this case, what am I telling the system? If the customer has not accumulated that minimum amount, I wouldn't send out a dunning notice. Let me say for some customer, I have 10 lakhs. So even if he has 10 invoices, but amounting to less than 10 lakhs, I wouldn't send out a reminder. So here for each level of dunning, I would have the minimum amount. Clear? So I would mention for each level, for the first level, second level, third level, fourth level, fifth level, sixth level, how many ever dunning levels I have. That many levels I can mention and still mention the minimum amounts also. So the system will not pick this customer unless and until he has accumulated this amount as a receivable or as a due. Now, how do I print the notice? I would go to dunning text and see that these are the texts. just like you printed a check, right? You also have certain standard forms which you need to assign. And these things are customized in our project. Clear? They are customized in our project. We take the help of the ABAP and then design the texts. So this is about your dunning procedure. Let me just check once more if I can find. GM01, GM01. I seem to have, I had created, but somebody has accidentally deleted it. Not a problem. No problem. I'll assign this to my customer. Now, for this customer, for Messrs. Costner Limited, since he has accumulated the invoices, I would want to send out the reminders. I want to carry out the dunning procedure. Just like I carried out the automatic payment program procedure for your 6385 Messrs. Red Limited or Messrs. Blue Limited vendor. Similarly, for Messrs. Costner Limited, and carrying out the dunning process. So this is what the consultant does. Though I have explained this particular dunning procedure very briefly. Okay. Now, the end user, I will open another session. So where does the end user carry out this dunning process? Accounting, financial accounting, accounts receivable, periodic processing. Can you see something called as dunning F150? But what is the other thing that must be there in place even before I carry out the dunning process? So how did SAP understand that the payment to the customer, payment to the vendor has to happen through ICICI Bank? Because the settings was the connection was set up in the master data. So here again, I would go to the master records. I straight away go to the company code level information. Go to correspondence. Here you will see the terms of payment. Okay, whatever you saw in your vendor master data. Correspondence. Here you see the dunning procedure. I will assign 0001. So now the system understands. See, I can also block. Let me assuming that Mrs. Costner Limited is a very important customer for me, and I wouldn't want to done. I wouldn't want to done dunning block. I would block this customer from dunning it. Okay, now I would carry out the process of dunning. F11150. So you'll have to consider so many conditions arising from the dunning procedure, what we saw. Now, there are 2 days grace period for every invoice. So today is 17th. I have entered all the invoices for Measures Costner Limited as of today. So will the system pick up these invoices if I execute the dunning process as of today? Logically speaking, no. That is the reason why I would execute this on the 20th of May so that the system picks up 17 plus 2 is 19 and 20th I'm going to execute. Identification GM. Let me give it GM01. Parameters. You are familiar with this parameters, correct? And now I will show you the master data. I wanted you to see another important thing in the master data. If you saw, I have entered in the company code level of company code view of the customer master data, and in the correspondence tab, I have just assigned the dunning procedure. I have not done anything else. Can you see the dunning level is 1? The dunning level is 0. Go back. Come back to the process. Dunning date is 20th. Documents posted up to, let me say, 17th. Company code is GM01. Can you see that I can enter a range of company codes also? It is just like your payment program. I can send out reminders to n number of vendors belonging to n number of company codes. Customer. Why vendors are included here? Now suppose same the reverse condition what I said. Why customers have to make why I need to pay to the customers in your payment in my payment run. In my APP, I could have also included my customers, right? Because actually I'm making a payment to the vendors. Why is there a concept of making a payment to the customers? The same reason applies here also. The vendor has supplied 100 items and I have made a payment for 100 items. But at the end of the quality test, I have rejected 5 items. 5 pieces has got rejected because of the quality test. But I have made a payment for 100 pieces. For 100 quantity, I have made a payment. So the vendor needs to make a payment for 5 items which have failed the quality test. So I can include it. This is the reason as to why your vendor is included in your in the running proposal. I go to free selection. There's nothing for me. Go to additional law. I enter the customer here. And I save. Details have been saved for the run on 25/2024 GM01. Go to status and see parameters were maintained. Now go to the schedule. LP01. What is LP01? It is a fictitious printer output device. Simply click on start immediately. and schedule. Why dunning notices are general 0? Why 0? Parameter dunning date is 25. Yeah? Today is what? 17. Why has it not picked up the? Should have actually said 1. Huh? It should have said 1 dunning notice generated, out of which 1 are to be sent. What happened? Let me check the parameters. It's 161631 only, right? We just check the vendor. I have assigned this, no problem. What would be stopping? Let me just check the dunning procedure. Just hold on. I have assigned 000. Okay. Okay. I didn't consider this 6 days. So we have also said it should have at least expired 6 days. So 6 plus 2 effectively is 8. So the overdue should have been actually 6 days plus 2 days, 8 days. Okay, now I'll change the dunning. No, not a problem. I will change the dunning procedure. If I want, I can delete this or not a problem. I'll change this. So I will change it to 31st. Okay, I will go to parameters. See, it says status parameters not entered. 31st. Documents posted up to, let me say 30th. Though there are no documents, it is still okay. I'm yet to enter the company code. Additional law. We'll save it. I'll go back to status and it says parameters were maintained. Now I will schedule this. See, did you get 1 dunning notice generated, out of which 1 are to be sent? Let me go to the dunning printout or your individual. Okay, dunning printout. No, not a. Say print. One dunning notice, no vendors, customer, 1 customer. Now, if I go to the sample printout, or yeah, I go to the sample printout, or I go to the dunning history, whatever. Account type is D. Customer. Company code is GM01. The customer is, and I execute. Now do you see? For 9,45,000, a dunning notice has got printed. How do I see the printout? Just click on this and say display dunning notice. Just highlight anywhere on the screen. Say display dunning notice. Copy. Say print print. Now you see the first dunning notice against Messrs Costner Limited, which is having an account with this customer ID. The invoices listed below are due for payment. So all this up to the 9,45,000. So it is very simple. If you have paid the amounts due in the intervening period, please disregard this letter. Clear? Now, so we have 4 dunning levels, right? Now see what has happened to the master data. Now see what has happened to the master data. Display. Now can you see this date has got populated? Dunning level is 1 and the last done is 31st of May. So it has automatically picked up the status. Now I want to get into the second level of dunning. So the next dunning is after 14 days. 14 plus 8, 22. So I would be executing, what is that 14? The dunning interval between the 2 subsequent dunning intervals. So if I done anywhere within the expiry of that 14 days, the system will not send out a reminder. Understood? So I will be dunning on the 25th of June. Now for 31st of May, this notice got generated. Perfect. Now I'm going to done this. So what are the conditions that I have been considered here? First is a dunning interval, which is 14 days. So if I had sent anywhere on the 10th or even the 5th or in the 12th of May, it wouldn't have got generated. Here, enter. So again, no parameters because I have changed this date. I'll enter the parameters again. Selection date deviates 32 days from the date of issue. That's okay. Not okay. 14. So 31st plus, how is it 32 days? Okay, not okay. Save. Details have been saved. Status. Go to schedule. LP01. So once you have understood the concept of when you should actually done, see, running printout. Go to running history. Execute. Now can you see the second level of dunning? And I have no invoices. I'm assuming that there are no other invoices. And if at all there were invoices, it would have picked them up also, which falls under this particular condition. Now see how strong the letter will be. Second dunning notice, can you see? We have already sent out a reminder. Please transfer this overdue amount. If fails to elicit any action on your, we will unfortunately have no option but to calculate interest on arrears. Can you see the English portion getting a little serious? Clear? So the first level was simply a two-liner, but here you can see we have, however, so far been unable to find any record of incoming payment for this invoices. Clear? Now I will take you to the master data of the customer. Can you see? Now I will done this for the 20th of July. 25th. What is the date? 14 days. 14 days, 25th. Okay, so 20th I can done. Not a problem. No parameters. Parameter 2007-2024. 2007-2024. Save. Go to status. Parameters were maintain. Schedule the run. Successful. Dunning printout. Go to Dunning history. Go to execute. It will show the third level of Dunning. Now see how serious the letter will be. Third Dunning notice, third reminder. Since you have not reacted to our previous Dunning letters, we have had no option but to calculate interest on arrears to the amount of 0 because I have not done any interest. We are now giving you a final deadline. If you do not adhere to this payment deadline, we'll have no option but to apply for a court order. You see how serious it is? So this is exactly how your process of dunning works. somebody, even before I started the AR topic, they had asked me about the process of dunning. I hope the process of dunning has been understood. Kunal, shall we take a 5-minute break? Students, we will take a brief break of 5 minutes and we will reassemble by 3:20. Okay. In the meantime, please just understand the flow of things, whatever's happened. You may not have to necessarily do it, but try to understand how the system is understanding things. Yeah. So we'll be back after 5 minutes. By 3:21, we'll be back. 3:21. I am back. So I hope the concept of dunning was clear. Any questions? Most welcome. Okay. I know probably it will be a little in the initial stages. I would feel this understanding to be a little uh, complicated, but if you understand the flow of information, how the data is to be understood, how SAP is understanding the data, how you are constructing, for example, your payment, your payment run, your dunning. What exactly are you doing there? What are the conditions? How do you expect the system to pick up things? Clear? So these are the things which needs a little clarity. Uh, no problem. You will definitely take time to digest. Okay. Please do not, if don't try to understand this. If you do not understand this in totality, absolutely no problem. Not at all a problem. Clear? Now, just let us go through the course content for us to just check. So that is one of the most important concepts. Like we had APP for your vendors, you have dunning for your customers. And basically, we concentrate more on the payment because once you release a payment, it is gone. You have released it. Okay, so that is why we always want to make the payment system very, very tight. Yeah. Now, there was another thing what I just missed out. If you have observed even in your customer or in your vendor invoice, I will take you to the master data. Now, if I enter a duplicate vendor or a customer invoice, will the system accept? Or what are the checks that I can go to even AR or AP, not a problem. Now in your company code data, in your payment transactions tab, you see something called as, just hold on. Have I left out anything? I was just checking. Interest calculation, we are not touching. I will not pick up anything from the anything else I have left out. No problem. Can you see there is a check here? Check double invoice. What does it do? So the process of checking it is more relevant for your vendor master because you are for the same invoice, you're releasing the payment twice. F1. Can you see? Indicator, which means that the incoming invoices are checked for double entries at the time of entry. So on what parameters does the system check whether it is a invoice which is repetitive? In checking for the duplicate invoices, the system compares the following characteristics by default. So by default, in the sense, if you have checked that box, check double invoice, the system does all these checks. It checks for the vendor, checks for the currency, company code, the reference document number. So obviously, and your invoice document date. So what are the factors does it check? It checks for, I'll open another session. Straight away go to FB60. So it checks for the vendor, checks for the reference. Normally, what did I say? We normally have the invoice number here. Invoice. If I try to enter the same amount or having a reference with this invoice, the system will prompt saying that there is already a thing recorded here. So it checks for this, checks for the company code, checks for the vendor, checks for this reference field, and checks for the invoice date. Does it what it say? Invoice document date. So here the system actually prevents me that the invoice date and the reference should not be the same. So this is the concept of you checking for the vendor invoices to ensure that you are not entering the same invoice more than once in the system. So this by default SAP is already provided. Provided I have checked this box. If I've checked this box, then the system will prompt. Else it will not. It will go ahead. So normally in your live scenario, we always ensure that we check this box. So you saw the way the master data created is also has a lot of impact on your operations. Do you agree with me? Now, another important thing, there is a concept called just 1 second. I'm just finding out a place where I need to. The concept of balance confirmations. And you also have something called as an aging reports. More so with respect to your AR. May not be necessarily with AP, but more so in regards of your AR, there is a concept of aging reports. So how old are your receivables? Clear? The balance confirmations. So if you have observed the audit process, the first thing what the auditor asks you is for the balance confirmations. What do I mean by balance confirmations? You should have come to an understanding between your vendors and your customers, saying that this is the balance agreed upon by both. Whatever is payable to the vendor, whatever is receivable from the customer, both have to be agreed by both the parties, you and your vendor, you and your customer. So this concept is automated in the form of balance confirmations, one of the most important reports as far as your AR or AP is concerned. In the morning, I happened to pull this out. If you have observed, I had pulled this out. Not a problem. I'll show this to you again. I will close this. So F.17 is your balance confirmation reports for your customer. Now, what is the balance for the customer? Company code is GM01. Your reconciliation date is maybe say 20th of May. Individual customers. I can have a range of customers. I can simply leave this field blank. It will pick up all the customers from GM0. Okay. Don't have to understand what this is exactly. This is just for your date of issue is 17th. Previous date, forget about it. I expect the reply by 25th of reply to you'll have to send out a reply. Now you expect a reply from your customer saying that you have agreed upon the balances. I'll simply give the fictitious printer for every thing. Okay, now I'll execute this. What is this? Customer balance confirmation, F.17. In connection with the checking of our yearly closure, you can read the English. We have seen that page of 4. Okay. Next page. So 9,45,000 is the balance. Reply to the outstanding total balance is amounts to 9,45,000. Telephone number. And in the end, you can also see the signatures. See, place and date, stamp and signature. Okay, so this has to be signed by both the parties, both your customer and yourself, your vendor as well as yourself. But in this case, we are talking only about our customer. So here, what is the intent? The intent is to have a confirmed balance position that this amount is receivable from you. This amount is payable from my end to the vendor. Where do you see this? Where do you see this? So you can see how beautifully this is designed. And can you see the program? SAP 130D. This is your program running behind this particular report. This is called as a balance confirmation. Now for the vendor, do I have any vendor pending? How do I check? If K10N I don't think there is anything in balance. Everything is sorted. Okay. Now let me look for the balance confirmation in your vendors, for your customers. Information system. Or I can simply type customer balances. Customer balances. Should be ideally in your. Okay, I'll simply give Control F. So you find this in your print correspondence under print letters. F.17 is a balance confirmation for your customers. What is it for vendors? It is F.18. F.18 is a transaction code for your vendor balances. See, I give a vendor, do the same operations. Clear? But I do not have the any open vendor invoices, and that is why I'm not in a position to execute this report. But we saw how the customer payments balances were confirmed by a report. Clear? Now we were talking about the aging reports. How long or how old were my datas? Okay, how do I get that report? One of the standard and a very, very important report as far as your financial activities they go. You agree with me, right? Reports, customer balances. Just hold on. Local currency items. Open item. So I'll give can you see something here? 20, 40, 80, 100. So I am actually pulling out the aging report for this particular customer. How old is my data? He is owing me 9,50,000 rupees or 40,000 rupees, whatever it is. From how long is this? So I'm drawing this report on as of today. I'll execute. Actually, it is not. See, 9,45,000 rupees from 0 to 0. Here, you can see it. It still stays in this bucket. We call this individual columns as bucket. Okay, I'll go back, change the state. or 20 days, 20 days. Let me put it as 10th of June. See, it has moved. It has moved from 00 to 21 to 40. So if I extracted this report on the future date, this data is going to be this old. It will fall in this bucket 21 to 40 days old. Clear? Come back, change the date. Keep changing. Then just see how the report appears. I would want to extract this on the 30th of June. It has moved from 21 to 40 to 41 to 80. So like this, whenever I want to extract, you can see the data is moving. And here I can also change the buckets. Here, it need not have to be 20 to 41 or anything. I can change it. This can be 5, this can be 10, this can be however my customer wants. So this is your aging reports. So two very, very important concepts as far as your AR is concerned. One is your debtors, one is your aging reports, which is this, and the other one is the balance confirmations. Clear? So we checked upon so many important points today, which I'll just make a note. Along with this, we had a vendor invoice duplication. We checked this, right? Check double invoice. We did that. We went through the balance confirmations, the process of dunning. I'll put it here. This is very, very important. The aging reports is one of the most important things as far as your both your AR and A. Dunning for as far as the customers is concerned, and your APP when your vendors are concerned. Clear? So you found the topics to be interesting. So like this, you can just open. Lot of things are there for you to have a look at from your AR and your AP. There's so many things to understand and see the beauty of the system. See how the system is constructed. Yeah. We will just wait for 4 to 5 more minutes just to check if there are any questions. So today we dealt with a lot of interesting things. The advances received. No, so sorry, we discussed about the advances made to the vendor. It's the same thing carried out as far as your advances received is also concerned. Okay, so I will keep silent for 3 to 5 minutes. Please come back to me with any questions. you enough time for you to just refresh your memories, and any questions you can ask me even on Monday. Not a problem.
Sir,
Yeah, Kunal, tell me.
till now there is only one question which I have
Okay.
already posted there. Double check something student is asking for.
What is the question? I'm not able to see that, Kunal.
Double check. Just now I have posted.
Okay. It is there in the published?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please explain. Double check something is written. Double check.
Okay, all right. Please check double, please explain double check. Okay. Probably he's talking about the duplicate vendor invoice. Okay. So what SAP does is it has given you a provision to stop SAP to accept these particular uh, entries. Let the system open and I will explain. I will log in. So what SAP has actually done is it has provided me with a option so that I can prevent from re-entering or duplicating the vendor invoice. So where does it check? Check double invoice. So here also it picks up the double invoice or the duplicate invoice on some specific characteristics. So once I have entered an invoice, if the system has to trap that invoice all over again, on what parameters does the SAP system identify that it is a duplicate invoice? These are the parameters. So SAP checks whether the invoice pertains to the same vendor, same currency, same company code, reference document number. What is this reference document number? Where do you see it? You would have seen this while entering the invoice. Can you see this reference? So let me say I have this invoice number. I have already entered a transaction with this invoice number. Again, this invoice comes to me. So how will the system identify? So it is based on the reference, whatever I give, and the date. Can you see the help file? See, invoice document date. The date of the original invoice, the invoice number, the vendor, the currency, and the company. I hope I was clear, Kunal. Yes, Kunal, any more questions for me? Hi, Kunal, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it has now been understood.
Yes, sir. So some like just hold on. I'm checking some. I think question has come, but it is reliable to the content, and then I will share it.
Sure.
Exam भी MCQ इसका तो अभी नहीं है. So
I didn't see any question pertaining to the subject, Kunal.
yes, just one second checking it.
Sure, sure, sure. Not a problem. Take your time.
Okay, sir. We can wind up the session. No more questions are there. Only some
Okay.
questions are there related to something. I will reply them.
Sure, sure. So
Hello,
we are
students.
yeah.
We are winding up the session for today with Nagraj sir. Tomorrow we will again meet you for the session with Nagraj sir at 11 o'clock.
Tomorrow is Saturday, Kunal.
Means tomorrow is next class on Monday.
Monday. Yeah, yeah.
The next class as on our schedule.
Yeah. Thank you, Kunal.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye, all. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.